Good day, everyone. Today I will be discussing the two stories from the myth, which are the story of Achilles and the story of Penelope. First, let us tackle what is the story of Achilles. Achilles was one of the greatest warriors and heroes in Greek mythology. He was a major character in the Iliad by Homer, where he fought in the Trojan War against the city of Troy. So he is in the side of the Greeks. The birth of Achilles. Achilles' father was Peleus, king of the Myrmidons, and his mother was Thetis, a sea nymph. If you remember in the report of Miss Bolivar, he tackled there that the marriage banquet was the marriage banquet of King Peleus and Thetis, wherein King Zeus invited the prince of Troy, which is Paris. And after Achilles was born, his mother wanted to protect him from harm. She held him in the heel and dipped him into the river Styx. River Styx is located in today underworld. In Greek mythology, the river Styx was located in the underworld and had special powers. Special powers were in some of the people that were able to dip in that river. They became invulnerable. And for the case of Achilles, he became invulnerable everywhere, but at his heel where his mother held him. Because Achilles was a half god, he was a very strong and soon became a great warrior. And he also became a great warrior of the Greeks. However, he was also half human and wasn't immortal like his mother because his father is a human. He would get old and die someday, and he would also be killed. Later on, we will be tackling on how Achilles will be killed. The Trojan Wars begin. When Helen, the wife of the Greek Menelaus, was taken, the Trojan prince, which is Paris, the Greeks went too far and get her back. Achilles joined the battle and brought along a group of powerful soldiers called the Myrmidons. Helen is a daughter of King Zeus, and Helen was a beautiful woman during the Trojan War, and she is the wife of King Menelaus. Achilles fights Troy. During the Trojan War, Achilles was unstoppable. He killed many of Troy's greatest warriors. However, the battle raged on for years, for 10 years exactly. Many of the Greek gods were involved, some helping the Greeks and others helping the Trojans. In this part, the god Apollo helped the Troys in defeating the Greeks. For the one of his the son of the daughter of one of his priests was captured by the brother of King Menelaus, and he was so very angry that he helped the Troy in a way wherein the warriors of the warriors of the Greeks has been poisoned or something like that, and then they died, and some of them died, and then Achilles that day was so vulnerable because his bride was taken by the brother of Menelaus. Achilles refused to fight. At one point during the war, Achilles captured a beautiful princess named Briasis and fell in love with her. However, the leader of the Greek army, Agamemnon, became angry with Achilles and took Briasis from him. Achilles became depressed and refused to fight. So in this part, it is where the god Apollo take back the one of the young woman captured by Agamemnon, and Agamemnon asked for the replacement of that young woman for he bring it back to his father, and he asked for the bride of Achilles, which is Briasis. And Because of that, Achilles was so depressed that he did not want to fight against the Troy. Patroclus dies. With Achilles not fighting, the Greeks began to lose the battle. The greatest warrior of Troy was Hector, and no one could stop him. Aside from that, Hector became a greatest warrior because Apollo once again helped the Troy in defeating the Greeks. Achilles' best friend was a soldier named Patroclus. Patroclus convinced Achilles to lend him his armor because Achilles refused to fight. Patroclus entered the battle dressed as Achilles. Thinking that Achilles was back, the Greek army was inspired and began to fight harder. Just when things were improving for the Greeks, Patroclus met up with Hector, and during that time, Apollo already helped them and made Hector more stronger. And then Hector found Patroclus in the middle of the battle, and he killed Patroclus. The two warriors engaged in a battle. With the help of the god Apollo, Hector killed Patroclus and took Achilles' armor. Achilles then rejoined the battle in order to revenge his friend's death. He met Hector in the battlefield and, after a long fight, defeated him. The death of Achilles. Achilles continued to battle the Trojans, and it seemed like he could not be killed. However, the Greek god Apollo knew his weaknesses, which is his heel, where his mother held him during when she will be dipping Achilles into the river of Styx. When Paris of Troy shot an arrow at Achilles, Apollo guided it so that it struck Achilles on the heel. Achilles eventually died from the wound, for it is his weakness. The Achilles heel today is used to describe a point of weaknesses that could lead to one's downfall. So now let us move on to the story of Penelope. Penelope was the wife of the hero Odysseus in Greek mythology. She was the daughter of Icarus and Periboa. The story of Achilles and Penelope was somehow related because it is Odysseus who encouraged Achilles to fight against the Troy. When the suitors for the hand of Helen were gathered at the court of Tyndareus, Odysseus realized that the odds were very slim that he would become Helen's future husband. So, he advised the king to call for an oath, the oath of Tyndareus. It was called of the oath of Tyndareus, according to which all suitors would protect the groom and the bride no matter what the outcome would be. In exchange, Odysseus asked help to marry Penelope. It is where Odysseus have a chance to marry Penelope. When Helen was kidnapped or eloped, according to some accounts, by Paris of Troy, if you have remember what I have said earlier, that Paris took away Helen, and because Zeus put Paris in a situation wherein he will be choosing for among three goddess who will be the fairest of them all, and he chose Aphrodite, for Aphrodite offered Helen, who is the most beautiful woman during that time. The oath of Tyndareus was invoked and everyone was summoned to fight against the Trojans. Because if you could remember, as what I have said earlier, that the oath of Tyndareus, it is where the all of the suitors will be protecting the groom and the bride no matter what would be the outcome would be. Um, Penelope had just given birth to Odysseus' son, which is Telemachus. But Odysseus was forced to leave in order to honor his pledge, because Odysseus also pledged for helping the groom and protecting the groom and the bride, because he was before a suitor of Helen. The Trojan War lasted 10 years, and it took Odysseus another 10 to reach his homeland Ithaca. When he arrived, he disguised himself as a beggar to test whether his wife had remained faithful to him. Because While Odysseus was far away, Penelope had so many suitors, thinking that Odysseus died in the battle, and they wanted to be married to Penelope, since Penelope also is a beautiful woman, and she was also a queen that time. So whoever will be married to her would be the next king. Oh. Indeed, Penelope had managed to keep all of her suitors at bay. She had told them she would choose a suitor once she finished weaving a burial shroud for her father in law, Laertes. Because during that time, Laertes, the father of Odysseus, died, and she says that he will be entertaining suitors once she finished weaving the burial shroud for his father-in-law. However, every night she would undo part of the shroud. Her plan was revealed by one of her servants, Melanto. Although it worked from the past 3 years, one of her servants, which is Milantod, revealed her secret that made the suitors battle each other and fight for their love for Penelope. And then it is where she asked one quest to do for the suitors, to know that they were so persistent, and that is where Odysseus came into view, and he disguises himself as a beggar. Penelope eventually appeared in front of the suitors and said that she would marry the suitor that would be able to string Odysseus' bow and shoot an arrow through 12 axe heads. But she knows that it was so impossible to do, because it is only her husband can do that thing. She already knew that this was a task that only her husband would have been able to achieve. None of the suitors was able to complete the task, and the disguised Odysseus asked to try. After being successful, he revealed himself and killed the suitors with the help of his son, the goddess Athena, and the two of his herdsmen. Penelope, still not believing that this was her husband, told him to command the servant to move their bed. But Odysseus protested, saying that it was impossible, as one of the legs of the bed was part of the living olive tree. That is why Penelope realizes that it is indeed Odysseus, the one that disguises as a beggar. Penelope finally accepted that this man was who he claimed to be, and the couple were reunited. Well, that is for the story. That is all about for the story of Penelope. Now let us move on to the similarities of the two stories. Well, first, they were both loyal. If you have remembered what I have said earlier into the story of Achilles, he has a bride there, which is Briasis, but but as his master asked him to give his bride, he also gave his bride, although he was very loyal to his bride. And he had no choice but to give his bride to his master. And in the case of Penelope, she was also loyal for as Odysseus was far away, and she has so many suitors. She did not let her feelings involve into her suitor, and elope with them. Instead, she made a excuse about not having them entertained, because she loves Odysseus, and she believes that Odysseus will came back. Also, they have their own weakness. In the story of Achilles, his weakness is his heel, because it is where Thetis held when she was dipping Achilles into the river of Styx. And in the case of Penelope, her weakness is his husband Odysseus, because she do everything he might just to keep her suitors at bay, and to make Odysseus came back with her as still his wife. And also, they were both a victim of war. Well, in the story of Achilles, he died because he is fighting about for the war. He is in the side of of the Greeks, and if he was not involved into the war, he would never get killed. And in the into the case of Penelope, he was a victim of war wherein his husband went far away just to involve into the war, and she was there living all alone with her son. Now let's move on to the differences. The differences are the character itself. Well, in the story of Achilles, the main character is Achilles. Into the story of Penelope, the main character is Penelope. Second is their misery. The misery of Achilles in his story is that when he handed his wife into his master, which is Briasus, he was in a misery that time because after he handed her his wife, he was so depressed that he was not able to fight against Troy. And for the case of Penelope, he was in the misery wherein Odysseus left her into their kingdom with no one to protect him but her son and the father of Odysseus. Also, their differences is that the gender. The gender of Achilles is male and the gender of Penelope is female. Well, that is all. Thank you.